Even though this bamboo matcha whisk is hundreds of years old, it's still the best tool for preparing matcha. In this episode, we're going to teach you everything you've ever wanted to know about the matcha whisk, the history of the matcha whisk, and how it's made. In the end, we'll also show you how to use the matcha whisk to create beautiful, foamy bowls of matcha tea at home. We'll also help you clean and maintain the shape of your whisk so it looks brand new for many months. This video is an excerpt from our book Matcha Masterclass, a 140-page guide on all things matcha. If you want to get the full book for free, just sign up using the link below and we'll send you a copy. So the matcha whisk has been used in the Japanese tea ceremony for hundreds of years, but matcha connoisseurs will still claim that it's better than any modern whisk. This whisk is made out of a single piece of bamboo, and the 80 to 120 small bristles are individually carved in careful detail. If you look at the handle of the matcha whisk, you can see the resemblance with a stalk of bamboo. As you go up the length of the whisk, you will see how the bamboo is split and divided many times over. Even though the matcha bamboo whisk seems to be old-fashioned, nothing does a better job at whisking matcha. With matcha, you want a light green foam on top of the tea. This can only be accomplished by whisking the matcha rapidly and creating these small bubbles. The foam is not just for looks. It also gives the matcha a smoother and creamier taste. This makes the tea taste almost like a latte, but without any milk or sugar. The bamboo matcha whisk appears to be a much better tool when compared to a metal whisk, and it's completely silent, giving you a peaceful matcha moment. The history of the matcha whisk. The bamboo matcha whisk is carved the same way it is now, as far back as 600 years ago. Originally, the tea ceremony was only something that was done for elite societies in Japan, and it was inaccessible for most of the commoners. A man known as Murata Juko wanted to change that, and laid forth principles of wabi-cha, or the simple tea ceremony. As part of this so-called tea ceremony for the people, he had to commission the design of matcha whisks that could be used by people all over Japan. The result was the bamboo matcha whisk we know today. Takayama Minbanojo was chosen by Murata Juko to craft these beautiful bamboo matcha whisks for simple tea ceremonies. These whisks were so well crafted that in addition to being used for the tea ceremony, they were also gifted to the emperor, who was impressed by their quality. The emperor at the time named the utensils Takaho, and this became the gold standard for the matcha whisk in Japan. This bamboo chasen became known as the Takayama chasen because of the area it was produced in. And still during modern times, the village of Takayama has the reputation for producing the best quality matcha whisks. Did you know that there are many different kinds of bamboo whisks? They differ based on their shape and color, and each one serves a specific purpose. First, let's start with the shape. While the handle is similar, you may note that the tines of different whisks bend off into different directions. First, we have the standard shape. This is the most common style of chasen. The tines are slightly curved and looped at the tips, perfect for frothing usucha or thin matcha. Then we have the shin or formal shape. This formal shape is used in traditional tea schools like urasenki, and the style features gracefully carved tines with unlooped tips, offering a more refined look. Finally, we have straight tines. This is the oldest style of chasen, with tines that point directly upward. This is preferred by some tea schools, and it works best in wide bowls, but creates less foam. There are also unique styles used in specific tea ceremony schools, such as the long-handled chasen for deep bowls or the compact versions for travel. While these aren't everyday whisks, they reflect the deep diversity of Japanese tea tradition. If you want a basic, all-purpose chasen for your daily bowl of matcha, you can find them on our website, neoteas.com. We even offer customizable matcha sets, where you can choose from different styles of handmade clay bowls and premium matcha powder. In addition to shape, there's a big difference in the number of tines on a chasen. Again, each design has its own specialty. First, we have the 32 to 48 tine chasen. These fewer, thicker tines are best for kneading koicha or thick matcha paste and not frothing. We also have 64 to 72 tines, Kazuho. This is the standard in Japan, balanced for making both foamy usucha and also smooth koicha. Finally, we have the 80 to 120 tine chasen. This has a higher count of finer tines and a wider head, which is ideal for creating a delicate, mousse-like foam. This is often used in formal tea settings to create usucha, or thin tea. Whisks with more tines are gentler, more fragile, and produce foam more easily, while lower tine whisks are more sturdy and better suited for thick matcha paste. In addition to different shapes, there are also different colors of chasen. The type of bamboo used to make the chasen influences both the look and the feel. First, we have Shiratake, or white bamboo. This is the pale and classic chasen. It's the most common type and the one you are most likely to encounter. Next, we have the Kurotake, or black bamboo. This chasen is made from naturally dark bamboo, and it's used for a more dramatic appearance. This chasen is a bit more rare, but you still can find it being used. Next, we have the Susudake, or soot bamboo. This chasen is rare and highly prized. The deep brown bamboo used to make this chasen comes from old Japanese homes where it's been aged for decades above the hearth. Each piece is unique, and whisks made from it are considered collector's items. We're going to show you how to use a matcha bamboo whisk like a pro, but first, let's talk a little bit about how the whisks are made. A handmade chasen goes through 8 precise steps, from splitting and shaving the bamboo to threading the tines. First, we prepare the bamboo. This process begins by cutting a dried bamboo stalk, usually aged for 1 to 2 years, into a short section about 12 centimeters long. The bamboo is cut so that the natural node, or the solid joint in the stalk, is positioned about 1/3 of the way up the chasen. The longer top portion becomes the whisk, while the bottom forms the handle. Next, we have the rough splitting and skinning of the whisk. Here, the top portion is now partially peeled and split into 16 equal sections. Each section is bent outward and carefully separated into 2 layers, the outer skin and the softer inner layer. The inner material is removed, leaving behind only the tough, resilient outer shell to form the tines. Fine splitting. Each of the 16 outer segments is then further split into thinner tines, anywhere from 32 to 120, depending on the intended style. This is done using fine blades and meticulous attention to detail. More tines means finer, more flexible whisking, ideal for frothing. Shaving the tines. This is one of the most important steps. The tines are softened in hot water and tapered off, thinning them out towards the tips. The final 1 to 2 centimeters becomes translucent, soft, and flexible. At this stage, the tips are also curled slightly inward using heat or shaping tools that gives the chasen its signature curls. This step takes great care, as overly thin tines will break. Smoothing the tines. Each tine is further refined by rounding off its edges. This softens the whisk texture and helps prevent matcha from clinging to the sharp corners of the whisk, and allows the tea master to whisk with more fluid movement. Threading. The inner ring is for kneading and the outer ring for whisking. Thin threads, usually black but sometimes colored for special occasions, are hand woven around the tines in a figure-8 pattern. These keep the inner tubes bent in and the outer tubes fanned out, and define the structure of the chasen. Arranging the tines. With the threading complete, the tines are evenly spaced and adjusted, and the final circular shape of the whisk takes form. The inner tines are often gently twisted or curled to form a tight knot in the center, which helps stabilize the whisk and create smoother motion in the bowl. Finishing touches. The master craftsman performs a final inspection, ensuring that each tine is perfectly spaced and curved, the threading is clean, and the shape is symmetrical. Any final adjustments are made, and the chasen is now ready to be used. So now that you've gotten some background on the matcha whisk, let's talk about how to use it. We'll show you the proper whisking technique, but also how to take care of your matcha whisk so it doesn't break. First, let's prepare the matcha whisk, just like they do in the tea ceremony. Just fill up a cup or a bowl of warm water and put your matcha whisk inside of it. Let the whisk sit inside the water for about 1 minute. When you use the bamboo whisk for matcha, you need to soak it to make it more flexible. The small bristles on the bamboo matcha whisk are really fragile, particularly when dry. When you soak the bamboo in water, it makes the bristles more pliable and less likely to break. Now that we've learned to prepare the whisk, it's time to learn how to use it. Once the water and matcha powder have been mixed together, you can put your matcha whisk into the water and begin to gently scrape off the sides and the bottom of the tea bowl. This will ensure that the tea has been mixed evenly into the water. Once you've finished scraping, you can then practice your whisking technique. For this, you will want to follow a rapid zigzag motion using mostly your wrist. Keep your arm still and move in an M shape. If you stir the matcha in a circle, it won't agitate the matcha particles and you won't get the right consistency. These quick wrist movements may be difficult at first, but you will master them over time. An experienced tea master will be able to whisk the matcha very quickly while barely moving their arm. The key is all in the wrist. It generally takes about 30 seconds to get a nice thick foam on top, but this foam will start to appear after just a few strokes. If the foam doesn't appear, you may be using a low quality matcha or not enough powder. The bubbles will start out large, but then turn into smaller microfoam over time. This is how you know the matcha is done. After you're done whisking the matcha, it's important to clean it off before you put it back in the whisk holder so it doesn't grow mold or mildew. All you have to do is rinse the whisk in water, but occasionally you may want to use a toothbrush to clean off some of the staining in between the bristles. When your whisk has been rinsed off, you are ready to continue to the next step. After using the matcha whisk, it will pretty much dry on its own. It just needs to be under the right circumstances. Make sure it has some breathing room, i.e. not in a container or zipped bag, and keep it in a drier place. You can blot it off with a dry cloth or paper towel after rinsing, but just don't apply too much pressure on the bristles. After the whisk is dry, you can place it on the matcha whisk holder so it maintains its shape over time. Naturally, the bristles will begin to collapse inwards, which will make it harder to whisk. This is why the whisk holder, or naoshi, is so important. If you don't have a matcha whisk holder, make sure you put the matcha whisk upside down with the bristles in the air. This is the best way for it to dry and maintain its shape if you don't have a whisk holder. If you want to level up your matcha routine, you can get some premium matcha powder and utensils from neoteas.com. When you order tea from us, you're not only helping support this channel, you're also helping us to support the dozens of talented farmers we work with. In the next episode, we'll be talking all about matcha bowls, but if you don't want to wait that long, you can get the full book for free today when you sign up using the link below. Until then, we'll see you next time.